Hello everyone, I'm EternalOpossum, and this is a bit of a different Hell's Kitchen video, mainly because I'm not talking about chefs this time around, but I'm talking about a gameplay aspect of the show. I'm talking about Elimination Challenges. Starting in Season 12 and becoming a staple of the show since Season 16, Elimination Challenges take the form of chefs competing against each other to avoid having the worst dish, with the worst dish of the group being sent home. Elimination Challenges have long been one of the most divisive additions to the show ever since they became more common in the season where hopes go to die, Season 16. But why is that? Why do so many people hate this aspect of the show so much? Why am I making this video when the reason why is completely obvious? Well, the last question is easy. It's because I want to. Well, in order to understand the hatred some have towards these challenges, I feel that looking at one isn't enough. We need to take a look at them all, how they work, and their history. Keep in mind that I'm not going to go over every single one in real depth, but I will skim over them briefly and talk about a few I think stand out. Anyway, let's start out with the first elimination challenge introduced in the Cook for Your Life challenge. The Cook for Your Life challenge was the first elimination challenge to be introduced all the way back in Season 12, and eventually the first elimination challenge to really become a mainstay in Hell's Kitchen. Commonly taking place around the top 12, around 4 to 6 chefs compete to avoid having the worst dish. As of recently, these challenges involve a protein of some kind, like chicken or filet mignon. Now before I go any further, I need to answer one question. Do I think elimination challenges have a place in Hell's Kitchen? Yes, I think they do. As much as I enjoy challenges in Hell's Kitchen, I will admit that before the elimination challenges, they felt like they didn't really matter in the long run. Don't get me wrong, challenges were important in Hell's Kitchen, but compared to service, which would determine who would be going home, the most impact challenges had was choosing which team would go on a reward. Really, the only challenge that felt like there were real stakes was the final tasting challenge, but that was because it would determine who would get the first pick for their team in the finale. Plus, prior to Season 12, there were a number of chefs who didn't have the best challenge record who made it reasonably far into the season, and in the case of chefs like Heather and Dave, would win the season. Essentially, as long as you were obviously strong on the line, you had a reasonable shot at winning even if your challenges were about as spotty as Nestle's human rights record. Elimination challenges, however, threw a wrench into this. No longer did you have to be strong on the line to avoid being thrown into elimination challenges in the first place, but you had to be strong in challenges so you could stand a chance at surviving said challenge. If not, your run could be over way earlier than expected. Essentially, elimination challenges meant that chefs had to bring it both in service and challenges, and I felt that led to much more talented casts compared to the earlier seasons. Sure, you could get lucky and have someone mess up worse than you, but that's banking on a lot of luck. And herein lies what causes the division about elimination challenges. How certain chefs who are obviously not winning tend to outlast chefs who are obviously stronger than them. Now, if this were to be only on a few occasions, then I would say there's an overreaction. And for what it's worth, the Cook for Your Life challenge is probably the least egregious when it comes to this, but the problem is that there's a very large number of times where a chef who has the potential to get further chokes in a super important challenge and winds up getting eliminated for it. Meanwhile, the chef who doesn't have a chance in hell at winning somehow scoots by. As such, a lot of these challenges feel like they're meant to get rid of chefs that don't have a lot going for them, yet they're still consistent on the line or even a damn good leader, over chefs who are just there for drama. Like, take Kiana from Season 20 for example. She had some leadership ability, and yeah, she wasn't going to win, but it just took one bad pork chop dish to send her home even when Ramsay saw some potential in her. It just feels wrong to send home a chef who has promise just because of a bad dish at the wrong time. Admittedly, I do think the Cook for Your Life challenge itself is fine. It's probably the best out of the elimination challenges solely because it's the least offensive when it comes to nonsense eliminations. Not that it doesn't have them, but compared to the other challenges, it's not as bad. I also do admittedly enjoy some of the ways the chefs are chosen to compete, like in Season 17, 19, and 22, although other ways like Season 21's was downright silly. But overall, I don't hate this challenge. It's fine as is. Next up is actually one that had the shortest lifespan out of all the elimination challenges, the Pment Pass Elimination Challenge. Taking place in both Seasons 19 and 20, this challenge saw a risk add to the Pment Pass challenge. The chef of the worst dish presented would be eliminated, and as such, would never even make it to service. Yeah, there's a number of problems here, but I'll start with my biggest issue with them, is that it really doesn't give the eliminated chefs a fair shot. Many first boots before this challenge have at least made it to service, and here we can at least see why they're the first boot more clearly because of how poorly they performed in service. And sure, you could argue that maybe Kenneth and Ava would have performed poorly in service as well, but there's just as good of a chance that maybe they wouldn't have. Okay, let me bring up a hypothetical. Imagine if the Signature Dish Challenge in Season 13 was an elimination challenge. There would be a really good chance of Latasha being the first chef eliminated. Then again, JP also had a pretty good shot at being the first eliminated, and look what happened to him. And considering how we now know that Latasha's poor signature dish was essentially a fluke, who's to say that Kenneth and Ava's dishes weren't just flukes as well? I'm not saying those two will even be on the level of Latasha or even come close, but what I'm saying is that they should have at least made it to service and be given a fair shot. My other problem with this challenge is that it feels extremely tacked on. Like, I feel the Pment Pass challenge was fine as is. There was no need to add a sudden elimination challenge to it. It just reeks of trying to reinvent the wheel and make things more interesting at the expense of giving the chefs a real chance to shine. It's no surprise that this challenge was quickly gotten rid of and hasn't returned. For now. Next up is the Black Jacket Challenge, where 6 to 7 chefs compete in 3 phases of the challenge, where the top 2 dishes of each round advance to the Black Jackets, with the last round only giving out one and eliminating whoever has got the weaker dish. Personally, I don't hate the idea of this. I think it once more gives an importance on challenges that earlier seasons really lacked in my opinion. So, why is it so hated compared to the rest of the other challenges? Oh, it has a bad track record of eliminating the wrong chef at the wrong time, and it's got perhaps the worst record of this in the show's history? That can't be right. Who goes first? Oh, well, I mean, I guess it was a robbery, but at the same time, I'm not losing sleep over a guy who cheats on his fiancée is built like Emmett from the Lego movie. Surely this can't be right. Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. But I mean, that season is full of shit elimination, so this was... I didn't even get to finish my sentence there! Okay, 3 controversial eliminations. Surely ends there. Fucking Christ! As much as I don't mind the idea of the Black Jacket Challenge, holy shit does this challenge have such a bad track record when it comes to eliminating the wrong chef at the wrong time. Like, again, I'd say it were an overreaction if it were 1, maybe 2, but 5 out of 7? What? This challenge, I completely understand why people hate it so much. To make matters worse, this is another challenge where more often than not, it feels like it was made just to put someone who would start drama in the Black Jackets. It happened in season 16, 17, 18. Really the only seasons that don't do this are seasons 21 and 22. Yeah, this challenge is it's got potential, but it botches more than Eva Marie. And we're finally on the final challenge. And this one is what may consider the most infamous one of the bunch. The Final Tasting Challenge. Debuting in Season 17, it immediately made its market history by being responsible for screwing Nick out of winning the season in what may consider the biggest cop-out in Hell's Kitchen history. So you already know this challenge is facing an uphill battle. It then follows its streak up by eliminating Declan. God damn it. Okay, to be serious so I can really put down my thoughts on the Final Tasting Challenge, I do think this challenge is just a bit overhated. Yes, it's responsible for eliminating 2 chefs that reasonably should have won, but really those are the only 2 that I would consider egregious. Everyone else I felt was fairly eliminated. I mean, I guess except Alejandro, but he was never beating Alex. I also don't hate the idea of this challenge, as I think it adds an extra layer to the Final Tasting Challenge and doesn't feel that unnecessary, unlike the Pment Pass Challenge. Plus it gives me another reason to watch the episode instead of just skipping to see who winds up on each team. I guess as long as it doesn't eliminate the deserving winner, then I guess it's fine. So all in all, there's a pretty good reason as to why the elimination challenges are so divisive. They have an awful track record of eliminating the wrong chef at the wrong time, especially over chefs who were obviously weak but were there for drama. But do I hate them? No, not really. I mean, I could definitely do without the bullshit eliminations, but I don't think elimination challenges are inherently terrible. I feel they have a place in Hell's Kitchen to mix things up, really push the chefs further than before, and make challenges feel like they matter in the end. If there was a better track record of eliminating the obviously weak chef, then I think elimination challenges would get nowhere near as much hate. And hey, the more recent seasons like 22 and 21 have been pretty good with them. Hopefully it stays that way. Anyway, that'll be it for me. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. EternalOpossum out.